And we're live. It says we're live. Hey, welcome back to another epidose of these crazy people that just eat me and can't stop talking about it. We got my co-host Justin out Life Carnivore and me, Thomas Allen Clark, here on Labor Day weekend to talk about eating meat, see if the crew shows up, the usual suspects. Carnivore Christina, alien drone. Was it alien drone? What
service? I think it's alien drone
ADS?
service. Yeah,
Yeah.
either that or it's alien drone sex, but I don't think that's right.
Mm. Vanessa's here. What's up, Vanessa? Hey, Vanessa. Justin's gonna be out here in 3 weeks. Are we meeting up at In and Out?
In and Out Norco for the Flying Dutchman Challenge.
Oh yeah, she should definitely come to that. But I think we're gonna be making a lot of stops at In and Out. So I don't know. I'm trying to remember. I know she lives around here somewhere. I think north of where I am. I'm in Eastvale, so.
Hey, let's not start doxing people.
Oh, she works near the one in Norco. Crazy. That's awesome. I live close.
So then you have no excuses.
That's right. I mean, if we find out where you work, we can just abduct you. I mean, a girl's got to have some Dutchmen in her life, right? Just saying.
I don't think you've had any in a couple of weeks, have you, Tom? Usually you have them about once a week, and I think this week you've had other things.
I have been crazy busy, so I've been absent in the long line at the old In and Out.
The lines are still long at In and Out. That hasn't changed in the last year.
Yeah, I live in Eastville. I don't know where you thought I lived, but I've lived in Eastville for a long time now. See, I moved here like roughly 2005. 2004. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I used to live in Chino Hills. Blah blah blah. But anyways, yeah, I live in Eastvale, so I live just north of Norco. We have our own In and Out, but they built it in a Costco parking lot, and I'm gonna drive you by there just so you can see the insane line. It's like it's better to drive a few miles further than the one in Norco usually. And of course, there's the one in Corona at Surface Club, which is the one I probably frequent the most because it's near the gym. So, like, if I get off work and I'm starving, I go over to the one on Surface Club, tank up on Flying Dutchman, and then go to the gym or hit it on the way out of the gym. So,
wow. So the one that has the Costco, like, you don't know which line is for gas and which line is for In and Out.
Yeah, the gas pumps are right next to the In and Out too. This is like, who thunked this up? You know, it's like, what the hell were you thinking? I mean, just trying to get in that driveway, you're like,
So what was there first, though? That's kind of my question. Was the Costco?
The crazy thing is, it's the same development, same giant lot as a Amazon warehouse. I mean, an Amazon warehouse that's like a half a mile long at least. So,
wait, in the same lot?
Yeah, in the same development, same complex, right?
That is
Justin was the one that lived in Covina. I worked in Covina, but Justin grew up in Covina. So
Covina's my hometown.
Covina's his hometown, and I worked there for over 20 years. In fact, I was just over there last week and the week before to drop by my old office and eat at the old haunt. I ate at Alpha Omega Burger twice in like 2 weeks consecutively. I went in there and ate. And it's fantastic, but my old buddy Vicky that used to work there, run the place or whatever, I found out she retired, and I was very, very sad. Didn't get to chat with my friend Vicky. Vicky was so nice that one day I was in there and I was paying at the register and a bunch of money fell out of my pocket and they found it on the floor. They went through the security footage to see who had dropped the money. And next time I went, there was an envelope full of cash with my name on it. I was like, damn, some great people.
Wait, you dropped actual like dollars?
To stack of $20 bills.
Whoa. Oh, when you tell the story, it sounds like you dropped like quarters and pennies and stuff like that.
No, it was like 80 bucks or $100 or something like that.
Big pimpin', rolling.
Well, I like cash. What can I say?
And
Not-
if you want to see my humble beginnings, I lived off North Howard Street. That's where I lived.
Yeah, we're gonna do a drive-by when you're in town, so we can show JoJo where you live.
Where I lived.
So yeah, I worked there. One of my favorite stories is telling they used to film the original Roswell right there, and so there's a restaurant that Al Pacino's dad owned. I forgot the name of it, but they had put a big sign over it. It was called the Crash Down Cafe, and they used to use it in the TV series Roswell. There was all kinds of places around there that they used for that. So especially in the winter, like you'd be sitting in the office, the sun would go down, and all of a sudden it got bright outside, and you look out the window and there's all these cranes with lights on, people hosing down the street, trailers and trucks everywhere and stuff. So yeah, that was kind of fun.
That wasn't a bad show, and I lived within walking distance of filming. And sometimes you'd see people. I forget the name of the actress, the lead actress, but she was really cute. I don't think she ever did anything after that, though. I don't really recognize both of them doing anything after that, honestly. It was a good show, though.
I was watching a movie. It was a cool sort of, I don't know, kind of sci-fi-ish time travel thing. These people are at a party at a house, and the main character was the dude from that show. I can't remember his name. And he talked about how, oh yeah, I was on that show Roswell, and you're like, oh shit, same guy. But he's like, I don't know, 10 years, 15 years older in the movie. So yeah, that was a fun show to watch. I tried watching the new one, Roswell something, I don't know.
Oh yeah, there was kind of like a weird reboot. I think I heard about it, but I didn't see what it was on or whatever.
I watched the first episode and I couldn't get into it, so didn't have the same magic as the first one.
Right.
So anyways, low budget TV. I think it was not on the WB or something.
Yeah, it was on WB.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it was low budget. I mean, maybe it was. I mean, I guess filming in Covina, maybe it's low budget, but
no, maybe it wasn't. I mean, it's expensive to film anywhere in Southern California, So, but yeah, no, I enjoyed it. It was an entertaining show. It was fun to watch. So,
yeah, it wasn't bad. My dad really liked it. I liked it. We'd watch it together. Yeah, I mean. Not that we kind of had to, but I mean, of course, living like within walking distance of the filming, it was kind of fun to see not our house, but like our area on TV. It's kind of immortalized, right? And then another fun. So if you live in Southern California, I'm sure everyone experiences this, but the Puente Hills Mall is where they filmed the time where Doc Brown and Jamie Foxx. No, that's not his name. Totally wrong person.
Jamie Foxx. Yeah. Jamie Foxx is a lot funnier. I'm just saying. You're talking about Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox, yes. Where the scene where in the first Back to the Future, where he shows him the time machine in that mall parking lot. It's called Twin Pines Mall. That is the Puente Hills Mall off Azusa. It's that parking lot. Yeah.
Too funny. Yeah, when I was a kid, I went to a little school in Sierra Madre, and they were filming. Well, we got to see him film some A-Team in the park across the street. Saw Mr. T and all the guys. and then Simon is Simon. They filmed Simon as an episode of Simon is Simon there, but the best one was John Cusack was there for. I think it was Better Off Dead was the name of the movie. It was one of those John Cusack films, you know. So we got to watch him film all kinds of stuff. There's one where he's driving his mom's station wagon all the time and he jumps it backwards into a pond. We got to watch all that. It was great. So
that's cool.
Good times.
Yeah, I have family. So like I have a sister that's in Forrest Gump. She's in the stands when Forrest is running, is in football.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And then my brother's been in like as an extra in a few different things. The most recent, I believe, was in a new show that had Thornton. What's his name? I'm really bad. Billy Bob Thornton. And Billy Bob Thornton in the scene pushes my brother.
Really
kind of fun. Yeah, I think it's the show that's on Hulu or whatever.
No kidding.
Yeah.
My dad was in a bunch of movies, but I could never figure out which character he was. So one of them was called The Grifters. Oh, that had John Cusack and Angie Dickinson in it. My dad was in there somewhere. He did several movies with Angie Dickinson in it, which was like a big deal for my dad. Like she was a heartthrob from like, you know, when he was a younger man. And he did another one called Mask of the Red Death. And I haven't seen any of these in a long time. I couldn't figure out where my dad was. I never actually watched any of them with my dad, which is something I should probably do. Is ask him, okay, which movies were you in? And let's sit down and watch them so you can, because his memory is not so good. And it's okay that I say that because he never watches my videos. I don't even think he remembers I have a YouTube channel. But yeah, my dad loved it. He's just an extra, you know, or whatever. But
right, it's real easy to do. I mean, they're constantly looking for people to be extras, and it doesn't matter really what you look like. I mean, you can always put it. I mean, everyone looks like everyone in LA, pretty much. There's no like, there's all types of people, you know.
I have to let the dog out again, and I'm trying not to. Angelica Houston. Oh, you're right, Raymond. Angelica Houston was in The Grifters, and Angie Dickinson. Wait a minute. What, I mean, I think maybe Angie Dickinson was in Mask of the Red Death or whatever it was, and Angelica Houston was in The Grifters. Let me let the dog out. Be right back.
All right.
Yeah, I don't tear down my green screen.
Yeah, I was in a couple music videos. They never were like on TV or anything, but they're on YouTube. So yeah, I've done a bit of stuff myself. I mean, it's pretty easy living in SoCal. Everyone knows someone that's in the business to some extent, although not as much with YouTube now. I think YouTube, Hollywood, you know, people, it's easy.
Damn it, man, it froze.
Well, it's normally easier to be on here unless you're like me. And you don't live in SoCal anymore, so they're angry with me.
Yeah. You always meet people that are in the business one way or another. There's so many people that are employed by the movie industry or the music industry here. So
right.
I've been to, you know, there sometimes too, one of the fun things is you can get passes to go see a movie before it's released. A lot of times they're not even finished. And sometimes they're at the actual studios, you know, so you get to go to Warner Brothers, whatever, and stuff.
Do they still do that? I thought they cut that out because of like, I don't know, craziness or whatever. Maybe they haven't.
Maybe. I mean, it's not like I've done it for a long time, but they used to call certain people to go. But you know, the weird thing was one time, one of the girls I was going with, this is a girl I went to school with named Tanya, and they called and they said, "Oh, okay, what ethnicity are you?" "Oh, I'm white." "Okay." And then, "What ethnicity is Tanya?" And I'm like, "She's half black and half white." She's like, they're like, you got to pick one or the other. I'm like, well, I don't know, man. How do I, how do I pick one or the other? She's half and half, So that was kind of weird. I'm sure they wouldn't ask that question now. Of course, this was like around when I was in high school. So not that I want to date myself, but it was a bit ago. It was a few decades ago at least, right? So, but then I remember seeing Roger Rabbit, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, before it was fully animated.
What? Oh, that's interesting. So you just saw the actors like acting it out and talking to invisible people?
Yeah, and like there was a scene, it seems like, where I think the actor's name is Bob Hoskins. He's like one of the main character, and he's on a motorcycle, the sidecar or something, or they were using some sort of little vehicle to. He's driving down the street or something, and there's a person on it in a black suit doing stuff that's like, I don't know if that became an animated character or it was just a hidden stunt person or whatever. It's like, so you see all the weird stuff. I mean, that's like the early days of, CGI and green screen.
I do got to address something in the chat. 5150 Keto Girl. Great to see you. It's been a while since we've chatted. The snake's in the tank. I can bring out my girl if you want. If people want to see the snake, let me know if you want to see the snake. I could bring her out.
5150 Keto Girl.
You know who that is?
I recognize the name, I think, from Instagram, right?
Instagram and Rivera.
And
I think
Rivera.
we've all been in chats together. Possibly. I know me and her have been in chats together.
I can't tell from the picture. It's too small.
Sly. That's right. It's Sly.
Oh, that is Sly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I know who Sly is. Oh, for sure. I saw her in the meeting with Amanda and Becky the other day. That was the first time I ever actually think I got to talk to her, but I do know her from Facebook then, for sure. I see her posts frequently. So it's good to have you here, Sly.
Let us know if there's ever a time you want to come on and tell your story or just give it an update and stuff. We always like to have people tell their stories. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, when I first started actually appearing on camera and not just talking about books and stuff, keto books and stuff like that, the first thing I did was I loved helping people tell their story. So I think people's individual stories or their anecdotes are very powerful. All right. Yeah. Hit us up. Sly, I would love to talk to you. So I know I'd love to get to know you better too. Cause obviously we were kind of swimming in the same pond and we just never really like had a chance to talk. But so anyways, yeah, I was kind of excited when I saw you in that meeting with Amanda and Becky. That was really cool. Because I used to get to talk to Amanda and Becky all the time. Like, and now it's like, oh, we're so spread out. We've kind of all got our niches. And see, look at this. Justin went and got a snake for you.
There she is.
Is that Buddha?
That's Buddha.
Buddha the snake.
She's probably a little angry. So they got her up.
Yeah, I love Becky and Amanda too. So I got a big soft spot for both those girls. It was some of the early people that I met in the carnivore community. So
yeah, we've known them for a while now. It's kind of crazy how quickly time has passed.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's like, the last 4 years have been a whirlwind, So, and of course it got crazier with COVID and stuff like that. But it's great to see people launching new groups and new YouTube channels and new Facebook groups. And I still don't know why I post on Instagram. I'll be honest with you. I do it and I'm like, All right, what's the point? I posted a picture of some meat I ate. what, what am I doing? So
Hey, you can make memes like I do.
yeah, Justin's been cranking out memes for me. So I come up with an idea, and he makes them for me, which is great. I love sending them out. So did you make that koala one, or did somebody else?
No, I found that somewhere else.
Uh,
I just because of Joe's in our chat, I had to
that's
send it.
freaking hilarious. So hey, and to let people know, Justin and I started recording super short videos. So, to be completely honest, and especially people who coach would probably realize this, you wind up talking to people that have a crazy short attention span. And maybe I've kind of forgotten how short my attention span used to be. And then on top of that, I've got that sort of tism trait, like I like to rabbit hole and really learn a subject, and a lot of people don't do that. So I was like, hey, Justin, let's take that short video thing to a new level. And he's like, finally, finally, you understand that there's a lot of people out there, like 2 or 3 minutes is all they can really handle on a video. So we're calling them frequently asked nibbles or short ribs nibbles.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a batch of super short videos out there. So if you know anybody who won't even invest in our regular short rib videos for a watch, we got some like 3-minute videos coming out. So that, and if you don't know, we got our own Meat Mosaic Facebook group. There's a Meat Mosaic Telegram group. And of course, I
It
still
looks like
got,
I'm gonna have to start a Meat Mosaic snake group. Look at this.
there you go. So, so, do you have any recipes?
No, this one's not for eating unless things get really desperate. Unless that inflation really takes off.
Does your snake know you're not for eating? I'm just asking.
Oh, she doesn't know that I'm not for eating. It's just she's not big enough yet to try.
Give her time. Give her time.
Right? Yeah. Well, she's only half grown, so she's going to double in size over the next year or so.
We should just make a video with groovy music and the snake slithering through the shot.
Through the shot. There you go.
Yeah. So, anyways, I wonder where Christina is.
I know. I hope she's doing well. I remember she was ill last time.
Oh, that's right. She wasn't feeling so hot.
Yeah.
And no ADS.
No ADS.
Michael Maj. What the hell's his name? Kevin Smith? Michael Maj?
Kevin Smith.
That's who else I met in that meeting with Amanda and Becky and Sly was
Kevin.
I'm pretty sure his name's Kevin Smith. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool. Just having to pop in at the right moment.
I always think of the director, writer, Kevin Smith.
Who doesn't? His favorite thing he did of all time was that speech he gave at some university where he's talking about filming Prince. Have you seen that? Oh, there's Kevin Smith. Here he is.
I don't know if I've seen that or not.
Oh my God, it's awesome. Prince wanted him to hired him to film him for a documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells all these crazy stories about Prince, and then he gets done and he's like, okay, when are we going to premiere this? And the assistant's like, this is probably going to go in the vault with the 10,000 songs he recorded that he hasn't released yet. So we'll get back to you on that. And as far as I know, it's never been released. So
is that one of the things they did? I know they did like they did stuff on the road for a while. Is it one of those things where he's with Jay Muse and they're just chatting about stuff?
No, this was like he got hired to go speak at colleges. Like the student body wanted him as a guest.
Uh-huh.
So he just went and, the colleges that want him, he just went and spoke, and one of them got filmed, and he's just telling these stories about making his early films and getting hired to film Prince for a documentary. Like, he was a huge Prince fan, and it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna get to do a project on Prince, meet Prince, hang out with Prince,
Right.
and then he finds out that work ain't going nowhere. Oh, Sly says she was just in Paisley Park. Is that in Minnesota? Oh, see you later, Vanessa. Keep in touch online. I don't know if you're on Facebook. I don't remember if I've seen her. Hope to see you around. And Kevin Smith is priding himself on hiding on the internet.
I've got to wrangle a snake and put it back in its tank.
Of course you do. Put the butter back in the pan.
I know. You want to come and hang out.
So is like Paisley Park an attraction? Like, you go there on a tour, like going to Graceland or something? I imagine it would be. It's probably pretty incredible. I bet it is. Yeah, I mean, Prince has got to be one of the greatest songwriters of our time, and easily one of the greatest performers. Some of the Prince guitar solos are just epic. He does not get enough credit for what an amazing guitar player he is.
Who?
Prince.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that guy doing a guitar solo just out of freaking nowhere in the middle of a song. It's like, holy cow. And then look at how prolific he was, his writing, how many songs he wrote and performed. It's like, damn, what a career.
Right, but he was kind of always miffed that his most famous songs were ones he was just kind of screwing around on.
I didn't quite hear that.
I was saying how he is kind of miffed because his most famous songs are songs that he was just kind of screwing around on.
Oh, Sly Sander first movie was Purple Rain. Funny. I don't want to say what my first movie was.
You're afraid to date yourself?
I don't want to date myself.
Was it Gone with the Wind? Just kidding. You're not that old.
How dare you? I remember that. I'm not sure exactly what my very first movie was. To be honest with you, it was probably some Disney film that was old and just replaying, and Grandpa took us to the matinee or something. But I do remember when I was a kid, the babysitter took us to see Grease.
Oh, Grease. I love Grease. Such a great film.
Hey, Marge is here. Happy Labor Day, Marge. Marge has been torturing me because she was at a barbecue and she's sending me pictures of all these steaks that I couldn't eat. Marge is cruel that way. Just kidding, Marge. So, well, if I'm ever back in Minnesota, I'm putting Paisley Park on the list of things to do. So, I got into it with Carol. I wonder if Carol's here. I'll text Carol, tell her we're live.
I haven't seen her in the chat yet, so she's here. She's being incognito.
Mm-hmm.
I do have
Damn, you froze, dude. What?
I do have content that we can get into.
Let's do it.
All right. Just to let everyone know, I am
too.
having a jolly holiday drink. So cheers. If you are having jolly holiday drink as well, because no work tomorrow. So aha.
So what's your content, or should I tell my Carol story?
You can tell your Carol story while I pull
So Carol had sent me this amazing picture of the Northern Lights from where she lives. Probably north of Minnesota, right? So I'm telling her, so that's on my bucket list. I'm going to see the Northern Lights. So we're trying to figure out when.
And I'm going with you. Whenever you book that ticket,
Yeah.
I'm going too. 100%. I'm not even kidding.
So this is how the idea evolved. She's like, yeah, let's figure out when they're happening. Come see them because like they come right through her town, right? You could practically touch them, right? So I'm like, yeah, it's on my bucket list. I got to do that. And then as I'm talking to her, I'm like, you got moose around there? Of course, they got moose in Minnesota too. So maybe when I get to Paisley Park, I can see some moose too. So, anyways, I was like, she's like, yeah, there's moose. And I'm like, well, we got to go see the moose if I come up there. And she's like, well, that's like not like a thing you do. It just happens, like the Northern Lights. And I'm like, well, I'm going to be a tourist, so I need to make it happen. And then I had to escalate it because I'm like, not only am I going to come up there and see the Northern Lights, but I'm going to ride a moose through the Aurora Borealis. And she's like, oh my God, I don't think anybody's ever thought of that before. But then I had to look it up, and apparently people used to ride mooses. So
Yeah, of course.
there was a full moose cavalry in Sweden, right?
Nice.
So if you could do it in Sweden, why the hell can't you do it in Canada? I'm just saying.
Right?
She's been looking for mooses for 7 years here in North Dakota. I'd settle for an elk. It doesn't have to be a moose. Any kind of giant forest creature with long legs will do.
See, the problem with me going up there is I'm going to have to wear Tom for like warmth. I'm going to be like snuggled up on you the entire time because if I leave and
we
try
should
to
probably
venture
talk
out
about
on
that
my
off
own,
the air.
I will probably freeze to death.
Yeah, I suppose Alaska's an obvious choice for both moose and Northern Lights, but
A chance to go to Canada, why not?
yeah, why not? I like Canada. I was only there one time a long time ago, but
I've never been. I've always wanted to go though.
yeah, it's nice. Look who showed up. It's Carol. I was just telling him about riding a moose through the Aurora Borealis. So I'm trying to get Carol to put that on her bucket list. So we'll see. Maybe we can ride all the way to North Dakota. Just saying.
I'm afraid that the moose will eat me. That is my fear.
The moose won't eat you. The bear eating the moose will eat you. Just saying.
Wait, moose are herbivores though, so I think I'm safe.
You're safe. I mean, I'm not saying it won't stomp on you, but
I
that's
can
a important
dodge.
part
I
about
can
staying
bob
on
and
the
weave.
back. Right?
Oh, you missed my snake, Carol. You have to rewind so you can see my snake on the screen.
Yeah.
So I do have content. I don't know if you want to get to this now or keep telling
Yeah, let's
stories.
do it. Let's hear it.
All right, let me see.
I gotta turn on my volume. Can you guys hear Justin okay? He seems a little quiet to me, but Carol just ate a killer steak.
Nice.
You're just like March. You just ate a nice steak and you're rubbing it in.
So it comes up quite often, and it's sad that current year we still have to deal with this. Even sadder, if you can see, it says this is, I don't know, some website called Eat This, Not That. Some vegans were flying this around in a different group that I'm in where like I debate vegans because it's fun. It's healthy eating and evidence based, right? And so when people see things like that, they're like, oh, it must be correct, right? So in this article, it's about red meat is even worse for your heart than we thought, says quote unquote new study. If you have heart issues, it might be time to give up red meat for good. And what upsets me about this is that I actually, right now, have friends that have poor health uh, due to their own life choices. and I ain't gonna, uh,
You're not going to harp on them for snorting rails and smoking heroin. Okay.
right, because I made the same poor choices when we all used to party together. So like, but like if there's a way that you can get health back, I mean, why not do it? And so I get upset because articles like these prevent people that I care about from getting uh, health that they could actually get. So this is by someone named Kayla Garitano. Again, as we always do these articles, if you ever want to come on the show and defend yourself, we are open to have you on. And again,
and we'll be civilized and polite.
yeah, of course. And again, I'm upset that this was published last month, August 10th.
Right.
So this is new, right? And so, like,
how dare they use a couple of really nice looking ribeyes too, right?
Yeah, they probably threw them in the trash, right? After taking the picture.
The audacity.
The audacity. That's a sin. Okay, so the debate over red meat has raged for a long time. Can it ever be good for you? Should it be avoided at all costs? Is a lean piece of steak better choice than, say, a fried chicken thigh? The questions are endless. But a new study published in the American Heart Association journal, Arteriosclerosis, Thrombosis, and Vascular Biology, offers the latest answer. The research shows that consuming red meat led to a significant amount of higher risk of cardiovascular disease. In other words, most people should be wary of how much red meat they consume, but that's especially true for those with heart issues. So we can look at the study itself if we really want to, but I'm sure all of us can name probably like a few things that are wrong with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Already.
Yeah, this hits close to home. I have a good friend who's a little bit younger than me, and a couple weeks ago, was it? She had a heart attack, and she's in and out of the hospital for a while. I don't know how many stints she got, but like a ton. And I think she eats primarily a plant-based diet, So, and this is why articles like this is why.
Right, exactly. For this study, researchers measured levels of the metabolites a substance made or used when the body breaks down food, drugs, or chemicals, or its own tissue in blood samples. Other factors examined were blood sugar, inflammation, blood pressure, and blood cholesterol. Researchers examined whether these factors also played a role in the elevated cardiovascular risk associated with red meat consumption. The study used data from participants in a previous cardiovascular health study. So that's already kind of sketch, in my opinion, if they used data that's already been collected. Like they didn't even have the wherewithal or scientific integrity to go out and grab their own data, right? I just think that's lazy.
Well, they cherry pick data to try and back up a point, right?
Right. They do the opposite of science, where they have the so-called hypothesis and they grab data that supports their hypothesis, right? So the final research indicated. Oh, sorry. These this study, researchers compared the risk of cardiovascular disease among participants who ate varying amounts of animal sourced foods, including red meat, processed meat, fish, chicken, and eggs. Already there's come because it's not saying that like everyone only ate like 100 grams or something, right? So that's already poor science, right?
Yeah, we don't know how many pack a day Marlboro smoker they were.
Right. We know nothing else.
We don't know whether they like guzzling bourbon or scotch
or vodka. Right. But supposedly, the final research indicated that eating more red meat and processed meat was linked to a higher risk of atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease on average that equated to a 22% higher risk per approximately 1.1 servings per day. Some of the red meats studied include beef, pork, bison, and venison. About 1/10 of this elevated risk was attributed to the increase in the metabolite, oh, here comes again, trimethylene N oxide, also known as TMAO. I believe we covered that some last live, right,
Recently.
Tom? Yeah.
Yeah, and of course the crux of the issue with TMAO is that it's very high in fish. So why aren't all the pescatarians coming down with cardiovascular disease? Giant question mark. Crickets.
And
Because,
Bart K just did a recent video that was fantastic on TMAO
of
that I
course, that's
highly
every week.
recommend. But basically, in his video, he talks about how the bacteria that break it down properly actually increases as you move more towards a meat-based diet. And he went over a study, and I thought that was like essentially the body becomes more adapted and is
So
able. Go ahead, Tom.
remind me to try and link that video in the show notes.
Yeah.
We come up with so many things to put. In fact, you need to send me the link to this one too. Like the show notes.
I'll do my best to remember.
And Sly makes a good point about Ansel Keys. This all kind of goes back to Ansel Keys.
Right. The devil himself in the carnivore community, basically.
A fish anatomist who had an opinion about beef.
Right. So TMAO contains high amounts of the chemical L-carnitine and is produced by gut bacteria to digest red meat. The same goes for the other related metabolites found.
Yeah, and isn't L-carnitine just another amino acid?
Right. It's It's an essential amino acid, right, Tom?
Yeah. I want more of that. How dare you suggest it's a problem?
Researchers also noticed that high blood sugar and inflammation may also contribute to higher cardiovascular risk linked to red meat consumption. Factors not associated were blood pressure and cholesterol. So that's really funny that
is ironic.
Yeah, identified the true cause.
So what they're saying is don't put sugar on your steak, right?
Right. Don't put honey and sugar on your steak.
Well, I think if you saw that little video clip, I think it was Sean Baker. He was on a news show in the UK. Mm-hmm. And the lady was asking, so you just eat meat. You don't even put ketchup on your steak? And I was like, woman, you get run out of this country on a rail if you put ketchup on your steak. How dare you?
I have to say, in my past life, I did sin. I did used to put ketchup on my steaks.
Look, man, I love you, but there's some things about your past I don't want to know.
I know, right? Like, it's so offensive. I put ketchup on everything, though. Like, my family used to be like, hey, do you want some eggs with your ketchup? Because they would be like drowning in ketchup. It was really bad. I was straight. Now looking back, I was straight addicted to ketchup. Like, ketchup went on everything.
I mean, did you smoke it? Were you mainlining it? How addicted were you?
I mean, I was basically mainlining ketchup at one point.
Were you injecting it, or were you just open your gob and shoot a stream into your face?
I would just open my gob and essentially shoot a stream into my face.
Yikes.
And especially when it came to French fries, I mean, there was no limit. Like, every fry.
Whatever molecular bond held as much ketchup as possible, the French fry, whatever that limit was.
Right. So you know how at McDonald's and other fast food restaurants, they have those little cups, right? Yeah. The little white cups that you can put ketchup in.
Yeah.
All right. So first of all, I would start out with two of those full of ketchup. Right. That was like the starting point. But then But then I got smart and I had a big think. And when I started doing, this is crazy, is taking, the supersized lids, right? Like the
Sure.
huge large drink lids.
Big
I
gulp
used
lid or something.
Yeah, I used to take two of those and fill those with ketchup.
Two of
Because
them.
so it wouldn't fall through. Like I had to do some engineering. Because if you
Gotcha.
just use one lid, like it just slips through. So I
Mm,
would put two or three of those big lids that I would fill it with ketchup because like it made it easier to dip because the sides of those little cups would get in the way, right? And so like that way I just had free open access to mainlining my ketchup. I mean, that is insane looking back, but that's how hardcore I was about ketchup back in the day.
well, I like ketchup too. I wasn't quite as hardcore as you, but one of the things I would do is, you remember how the little condiment cups, like you put ketchup in, somewhere like pleated white paper.
Yeah.
So I figured out that put if you put your fingers inside that little cup and push out on the pleats, you can make it fatter in the middle, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I would do that.
Yeah, you can expand it. Yeah, I learned that later, but nothing was like the lid trick. That was my proprietary, like,
Technology,
technology
your
genius.
proprietary workaround.
Yeah,
How dare they try and
exactly.
limit your ketchup intake, right?
Oh man, and like, did you ever go to a fast food place and you asked for like ketchup and they're like, "Oh, it's 5 cents for like every like packet or whatever"? Did you ever get charged? I think it
Not
was
that I
like
recall.
I think it was like a Burger King that tried to charge me one time,
Nice.
and I was like, "F you guys!" Like, forget that. Like, nah.
So, did you ever stick your face under the nozzle when you were pumping ketchup and just get a shot?
No, that was actually one of the things that I actually never did.
Pull a Homer Simpson or
Or a
something? Who
gulp,
wants to
gulp,
see that?
gulp of ketchup.
Right.
I did once take the like a bottle and just like drink it.
Carol said something interesting. She said moose are more dangerous overall than bears.
Well, yeah, I'm sure a moose just like if you're in its way, it doesn't give a crap,
Are
and
they
you're just
grumpier?
done.
I'm just wondering, is it like an attitude thing? I mean, they're both big animals. They can do whatever the hell they want, right? But I
I
mean,
think
bears are like the original monster.
I think a moose can kill a bear though.
I'm pretty sure bears eat moose at will. There's a video of a moose alongside a road with a broken leg, and this bear half his size walks out of the woods and just drags him off and the moose can't do anything about it. It's amazing how powerful a freaking bear is. I mean, it just drags a giant freaking moose. A moose is, if you ever seen a moose up close, this is a goddamn big animal.
Well, yeah, but I'm pretty sure a full-grown adult male moose, a bear knows is outclassed and isn't going to mess with it. That one had a broken leg. It was down. That makes sense.
It was down for sure,
It
but I
was
mean, the
down.
power it's got to take to just drag a moose through the forest like it's no big deal. That's some scary ass
As
stuff.
dead weight. I mean, that is true.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little more afraid of elk than I am of moose.
I don't even
That's
know the difference. An elk is like a reindeer. Isn't an elk just a reindeer?
no, it's like a giant deer.
Okay.
It's like a deer that's the size of a horse, and it's
Hmm.
got pointy antlers instead of round ones like a moose.
Oh, okay. I
They're
could see that
similar.
being.
I think moose on average are probably a little bigger, but like the elk, they make all kinds of crazy noises and they get real rambunctious, and you're like, I can see them getting aggressive. And I do know somebody who was in a car that was attacked by an elk. So they're honking their horn at it, trying to get it out of the road. I think this was in Arizona. And yeah, who would win, Bullwinkle or Yogi? It's a tough question.
My
But
money's on Bullwinkle. He's my guy.
um, the elk rammed. It was a VW Bug too, of course. So the elk rammed it, put a horn right through the side of the door, and rolled the car over on its side.
Wow.
That's how
Okay,
strong they
that's
are.
pretty impressive, I'll have to say.
But that broke the elk's neck. So the guy was trapped in the car with a dead elk and an antler poking him in the leg. So he needed a little help getting out of the car. So yeah. So anyways, don't honk at the elk because they're grouchy. I'm just saying.
most definitely. All right, let's try to get.
They want
Go
to stay
ahead,
on the
Tom.
road. They're gonna stay on the road. But you got more to say about this article?
Yeah, the study had a very large sample size and was conducted over many years, which increased the usability of its results. It's by Molly Hembry, MSRD. So RD, for those that don't know, is a registered dietitian. I'm guessing the MS is a master's in nutrition. I'm not quite sure. Oh, LD is a licensed dietitian. Member of our medical expert board. According to Hembry, cardiovascular disease continues to be the number one killer among Americans. She believes evolving nutrition research in this field is exciting. It is helpful to keep in mind that researchers were able to figure out that the alteration in the gut microbe metabolite accounts for about 1/10 of elevated cardiovascular risk. She says it is a good reminder that many health habits matter, not only reduction of red meat, but in reducing cardiovascular risk.
1/10, though. I
Right,
mean, even if that was their argument, that's some pretty weak sauce, especially
right.
since they decided to throw in the thing about sugar.
Yeah, I mean, very, very odd, very loose uh, evidence.
So apparently, Sly looked it up, and if it's a calf, then I'm assuming a young moose or elk, the bear's going to win every time. And why not? Because the young ones are tender. But if it's fully grown, it's a showdown. That makes sense.
My money's on Moose. Go Moose. And for if anyone that remembers the show Invader Zim, one of the greatest cartoon American masterpieces of childhood, late 90s, early 2000s history. One of the gags was there was a dimension with a room with a moose. That's all it was.
What show was this?
Invader Zim is the absolute greatest, funniest cartoon that Nickelodeon ever produced. It's about an alien who comes to
Invader
Earth.
Zim?
Invader Zim. So it was about an alien that was sent to Earth that was supposed to conquer Earth, and he had the sidekick. Um, so basically, each alien that's sent to an Earth planet to conquer it gets a sidekick, like a robot, like that can do anything, basically, right? Um, but and they're all go sir, right, like that. But because Zim was the shortest of the aliens because their planet's hierarchy was based on height, and because Invader Zim or Zim was short, he was thought to be dumber than everyone else. So they took out all the electronics out of his service spot. Sorry, I'm just laughing because I'm remembering it. And they filled it with trash. And so instead of his robot saluting and saying, sir, his robot was really dumb and it would say Gur. And so his name was Gur, which was my favorite character on the show. He made the show. He's my absolute favorite character out of all characters is Gur. At some point, I do have a plan to get him tattooed on me at some point in my life because Gur Gur is my absolute hero in life. Like everything I do in life is like for that cartoon character because it's exactly, well, it used to be me. He eats way too many carbohydrates, but it's me. But it is the absolute best show, children's show that was ever. And I was there watching the premiere, and I was hooked, and I was a fan ever since. And it's kind of has like a cult following, basically. But I can go on and on about that show.
Apparently, you can.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
All right. Well, we learn something every day.
There you go. Invader Zim, look it up. One of the absolute best. The only show that even touches it is Rocco's Modern Life, which is another like
Again, never heard of it.
Absolutely amazing cartoon that like really pushed the bounds of what is acceptable to show children on TV. I mean, Ren and Stimpy was really on the line.
Stimpy,
you idiot!
You
like,
idiot.
Like Ren and Stimpy is absolutely amazing, of course.
Wait. Rocco's Modern Life, right?
Yeah, Rocco's Modern Life.
Never heard of it.
One of the absolute best shows. Also,
did you watch Little Demon yet?
No, I haven't watched that yet.
Come on, man! I told you like 12 hours ago. Why haven't you done it?
We spent a good like 2 hours. We have a show to produce and run. All right.
We'll multitask. That's all. The only way you're gonna get everything done.
I'm gonna pull it up right here.
That definitely gets us kicked off YouTube. But there's a new adult kind of cartoon. It's on like FX, I think. And Aubrey Plaza is one of the characters. Danny DeVito is one of the characters. It was the funniest thing I'd seen in a long time. I was dying watching it. So
completely random, but you know what we should do? We should get a sponsorship. We should get sponsored by a solar panel company. That's what we should do.
I could do that.
Definitely.
Yeah, why not? It'll only going to mean something to people that live in my area, but I got a guy.
I mean, imagine 10%. Like, okay, 5%. Here, talk to your guy and say, we'll advertise and get us a link. And if we get 5% of every person that gets solar paneling through them, we'll be making bank.
Well, I already have a deal. I don't know why I'm sharing it with you.
For the channel, though. It's not for the channel.
All right. There you go. No. Yeah. I don't mind. So I'll just throw it in here. Man, if you live in Southern California and you want to buy solar from a guy who owns his own company and let's see. Basically what it was, live in Southern California, the electric rates are insane. And they're increasing them, so you basically have to eventually get solar, because like in the next 15 years or whatever, it's going to cost you $1,000 a month. So they passed a law. I think it was the Renewable Energy Act or something like that. I can't remember the name of it. A couple of years ago, it went through, and basically they built in all these rate increases that incrementally increase your electric bill month after month, year after year. And that money is supposed to go to help people buy solar or to guarantee loans for solar or whatever. So anyways, yeah, my bills are high. I've got a house full of people that want to stay cool and watch TV all day and all that. So, my electric bills were getting up there, and I knew they were just going to get worse.
Bye, Sly. Great to see you.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Have a great night. Thanks for stopping by.
So I shopped around, and eventually I found a guy who owns his own company, installs the equipment himself, and he's an electrical contractor. It's not just a sales guy from some big company or whatever. But he was really nice to talk to, and I'll just say it here. And his name's Vernon Owen, and his number is 951-816-1593. And he's a hell of a nice guy. Or contact me if you don't feel like writing it down. But yeah, I'll post it in the comments or show notes or whatever. But hell yeah, it was the best decision I ever made, because it was 115 here yesterday. Yes, 115 degrees Fahrenheit. And it was only 105 today. And that's why I look so sweaty, because anytime you even get close to the door, you almost burst into flames because it's freaking hot outside. Oh, Raymond you want me to repeat the information? So the name of the company is actually.
And tell them the Meat Mosaic sent you. We got a deal
just tell him you're a friend of Tom Clark's. He'll take care of you. He's I really like Vernon. We chat a lot. So, anyways, the name of the company is the Lion Electric Contractors Solar Specialty, and the owner's name is Vernon Owen. VERNON OWEN. And his number is area code 951-816-1593. So, anyways, Vernon is a hell of a nice guy. It was a great process. It was easy. Dude inspected my roof with a drone before he started the install. Looked for any broken tiles or anything out of place. He fixed all that stuff as part of the deal. The attention to detail was amazing. He came back and color matched the color of the conduit, the boxes on the wall outside on the stucco. He came back and painted all that stuff so it matched perfectly. Yeah, so I'm sure Vernon can add on for you. So, Christina's here. Christina,
hey,
good to see you. We were just talking
Happy
about solar
holidays.
panels. We're just talking about solar panels because a lot of us have to cook indoor and we need the power. So
how you doing, Christina? How's the pestilence treating you? Are you getting over it?
Well, she just woke up from a nap. I'm sure she's great.
I do have more content to share if you want. Is that a yes?
Yeah, let's go for it. Who's ready for more content? Raymond, Sly's gone. But maybe Christina. Let's start some fresh content since Christina decided to join us.
I think Christina already saw this because I posted it in the Meat Mosaic Telegram group for those that aren't in it.
Yeah. Don't forget, if you can join the Telegram group, the Meat Mosaic Facebook group, then we can all hang out all week long.
So if you've just eaten, I'm sorry. But so this is a person. So they're talking about inflation and 1 can of tuna with tuna water, 1 heaping tablespoon store brand relish, 1 heaping tablespoon spicy mustard, a half cup of Fiber One, eat promptly, under $2, right? And he says, if we all ate this for lunch, we'd save money and smack inflation to boot. Original recipe used by Honey Bunches, which is funny, but almost anything crunchy will do. I suspect crushed potato chips might work best. So do you want to see his meal? So that was the meal. Like, it legit looks like rabbit kibble to the right. And the reason why he added that was for the fiber. So I'm sorry to post something so disgusting, but in my opinion, he would have been much better off just eating the tuna, right? Am I alone here? What happened?
I'm just fixing something technical. You're right.
Okay.
I'm listening. I'm moving around, clicking stuff. So
the Telegram group is Meat Mosaic. The Facebook group is Meat Mosaic. If that's what you're asking about, my homage. Yeah, the Telegram group is just Meat Mosaic, right, Tom? If I remember right. The tab.
That is correct. And I was, come on, my camera won't turn on. There it goes. Yeah, it's just Meat Mosaic. I was looking for the link. I didn't see the link in the group info, but if you look for Meat Mosaic on Telegram, it should come right up.
Yeah. And so I posted that there just because I thought it was like the nastiest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like it literally looks like rabbit or like hamster pellets.
It does. Yeah, so tuna relish, some kind of sauce, and some sort of crunchy cereal or potato chips.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this guy's wrong on every level. I mean, I would imagine you could just eat 2 cans of tuna. You know, if you have to, throw some mustard on it. But it's
Neuro.
like,
I just want to say hi to neurodivergent. I'm guessing A Jules. Well, hello. Nice to see you here. Thanks for joining the chat.
thanks for coming to the Meat Mosaic live stream.
Yeah. We were just telling everybody, Justin was going over the suggested meal replacement here that obviously none of us would eat. And we were talking about how we have a Facebook group called Meat Mosaic, and we also have a Telegram group called Meat Mosaic. So we hope everybody joins so we can keep in touch, chat about stuff all week. And we always throw out the invitation to the other carnivores. If you want to come on and tell your story, a lot of you have amazing stories to tell. So we love to have guests. We love to help them tell their story. We think people's individual stories are always very compelling. And so anybody brave enough to share, you're invited. Just let us know you want to come on. We'll work out a time. Or you can come on the live stream too.
For sure. So a lot of people, inflation, we all know prices are rising. So here's the thing with the carnivore diet. So whenever you make a purchase, like a major purchase, but it could be any purchase, there's actually like 4 purchase prices you have to think about. And I got this from my favorite content creator, Coach Greg Adams. Got to give him a shout out just because I watch his content all the time. It's not for everyone. I get it, but I really like his content. But today he was talking about how when you purchase something, there's actually 4 purchase prices. And those are, so the initial price, right? So like what you pay when you sign on or what you pay like at the door or whatever, right? Then there's maintenance, right? So like any major purchase, like cars, right? Like there's maintenance, right? So you have to factor that in. Then you have repair, right? So you have maintenance costs and you have like repair costs. And then you have repair cost, right? And so when I think of the carnivore diet and cost, yes, depending on what you eat, but I think for most people, the initial cost is going to increase. I think to initially start on a carnivore diet, your price of food may increase. Now, again, I say may, depends on what you eat. If you're fine with just eggs and ground beef, maybe it will be less initially. But to me, the real savings on a carnivore diet come on maintenance, repair, and replace costs. So, maintenance, maintaining your health. On a carnivorous / low carb keto diet, ketovore diet, I really think that your maintenance cost greatly drops because many of us come off most, if not all, medications that we take daily, right, Tom?
Yeah, pretty much.
So, like, even if, say, you have good insurance, and Tom, I know you have Kaiser.
Hey, picking on me.
I used to have Kaiser, And you know, a $10 copay for a prescription is not that bad, right? And like the $10, I think it's up to 15 or maybe even $20. What do you pay now, Tom? If you're willing to disclose.
Oh, for like a medication?
Medication, yeah, I know you don't take any medication, but like if you
Well,
know the
yeah,
costs.
last time I ordered, because I do have psoriasis sometimes, so like they dispense a steroid cream for that, and I think it was like $13, but then for anti-anxiety meds it was like $7 or something like that. So, and they ship it right to your house because
Right. So that's I think prescription medications that most people are on, I consider that maintenance cost, right? So yeah, $17 a month, let's say, probably people's average is probably more than that because the typical person is on what, like three medications or more, right? And so like you have $5 to $10 each medication. Let's call it five. That's $15 a month over 12 months. You're looking at, you know, over $100 a month, right? Just on maintenance, right, of your medications, roughly. I'm gonna
yeah,
guess.
and I mean, obviously when we get older it goes up, and it's not unheard of to hear people like they're on 8 medications, they're on 30 medications.
Right. And so those people are possibly with copays, although they get a break, I think, when they're on that many medications. Um, but yeah, so just an average of over $100 a year, right? And then you have repair cost, right? Which is like some kind of surgery, maybe, right? To deal with something that's typically caused by the medications that you're using for maintenance, right?
Or maybe a bullet, you don't know.
Something like that, right? and
Right.
then and then you have healing, right? I put repair, the healing process. So people that have metabolic issues also have a more difficult time healing from a surgery and are at higher risk of infection, right, Tom?
Right.
and
Absolutely.
and so that's an extra cost, right? Because now the doctor's got to get you back. And I don't know how that charge actually goes, how much you actually have to pay having to go under the knife again. And then you have replace, right? Like something like a knee replacement. My mother had a hip replacement and two knee replacements and a hip replacement. Now she only had to pay like $50 copays for those, but those big surgeries are, I think, between $10,000 and $20,000, if I remember correctly. Um, so that's a lot of money. So to me, yes, initially a taking on a carnivore diet may be more expensive your initial cost. I will succeed that point. But I think it can't be beat when it comes to maintenance, repair, and replace cost. What do you think about, Tom?
I'm kind of with Jules on this. It's like I think it's cheaper just to eat carnivore because I know mm, my carnivore diet is probably less varied than a lot of other people's. But when you cut out all the condiments, spices, and all the other stuff, I mean, I mostly just eat raw top sirloin. I'm paying $7, $8 a pound for it, something like that. Sometimes less, because sometimes it's $5 a pound. And then I also eat shrimp, a lot of shrimp. I love shrimp, so I just eat tons of it.
And
I go,
that's a little more expensive meat, right? Shrimp
but
isn't
but
particularly
it's not
cheap.
that much because I could tell you I pay about $7 a pound for the shrimp too. So on a day when I eat a lot, I'm gonna eat not quite a full pound of shrimp. It's because a 2 pound bag lasts me 3 days. So let's see here. So that's
I need
see
a, I need a quick break. I'll be right back.
all right, 14 divided by 3. So I'm eating $4.60 66 cents worth of shrimp a day. And then I eat anywhere from probably 40 to 60 ounces of top sirloin a day. So we'll just pick 50. divided by 16. That was 3 pounds. Wow, I'm eating that much now. Wow. So, anyways, 3 times, let's say I'm paying $7 a pound. So that's $22. So in a day, if that's all I eat, we're talking like $25 worth of food in a day. So and I'm a bigger person, and I love lifting weights. And uh so my protein demand is probably a lot higher than the average person. I know I've talked about this before, but like uh, uh a day where I'm not particularly active, I'm still going to burn like 4,000, 4,500 calories in a day. And on a really active day, I've gotten up to like 10,000 calories in a day. So, and to be honest with you, on a day, I've never eaten 10,000 calories in a day. I've never even come close. So, so I'm in a deficit, which isn't all bad, because you do that occasionally and you just get leaner, which is one of my goals. Just get leaner and more muscular. I mean, that's just what I like to do. I just love to lift. I'm not saying it makes sense, because I lift. Like last month, I had 34 visits to the gym in 1 month. This month, it'll probably be closer to 29 or 30. But yeah, like people are mentioning, Kevin is conquering a decade of multiple sclerosis plus 8 years of a vegan diet. I'm sure eating meat is probably cheaper for him. Um, Jules thinks it's cheaper to eat meat. Let's see, Christina was talking about her grandmother takes about 35 meds a day. Yeah, it's
Wow.
not unheard of for grandparents. Um, Her grandpa takes 22. So that's 57 drugs. It's 57 doses a day. Whether insurance is paying for most of that or you're paying it out of pocket, that's a lot of money. See, one of the medications is a shot that he gets every other month. It costs $16,000, and it is insane. And I have a family member. She suffers from autoimmune disease. Eats a horrible diet, in my estimation. She has an autoimmune disease that affects her lungs, and I think the annual cost for the biologics, that they call it, the treatment for that, which basically compounds that inhibit your immune system function, which of course sounds like an insane thing to do during a COVID monkeypox outbreak, is 30 to $60,000 a year, right? Think about being able to resolve that. And I would imagine that family member actually spends more money on food than I do, and I'm quite a bit larger and quite a bit more active, so decisively more active. Yeah, I think carnivore's cheap. Of course, I'm a bargain hunter too. I don't eat all of the
Right. If you do the
grass-fed
grass
meat.
fed organic, the price does about double roughly. Which, I mean, again, my overall point is anyone that comes to you or is hesitant about starting or investing in a carnivore diet, I would break it down to them in like they're going to pay, they might pay more initially on the front end, but they're going to save possibly hundreds of thousands on the back end. It's the
Oh yeah.
economic thing of the seen hand versus the hidden hand. So there's in economic theory, more specifically, Chicago school theory.
What if we tried to compare it to that tuna and cereal and relish?
The
I mean,
abomination.
yeah, it kind of looks like vomit, but even something like that, it's not that cheap. I mean, I got nothing against eating tuna, obviously, but tuna's not cheap. Even canned tunas, if you break it down by the pound, it's kind of expensive, right?
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
the majority of the under $2 was the tuna, right? And so if you're going to invest in yourself, the payoff is so greater in investing in meat, pretty much versus anything else. I mean, I don't really know anything that's a better self investment than buying meat, honestly.
Yeah, and you know me, I'm always trying to steer things back to quality of life. I mean, it's look at the people here, and you know, I talk a lot about the autistic community, which seems to be absolutely overrun with digestive issues. Just the misery that causes. And then, of course, when we look at the mental aspects of it, how much clearer people's minds are, and of course, if you're part of the TISM tribe, you know that just managing anxiety and being able to communicate with people is vastly affected. So when your diet's right, you're able to communicate with people, even if you're nonverbal. Your ability to communicate with other people improves. People tend to be less animated. Um, I've got some. You know, there's when you're a coach and you coach people, you know, you hesitate to share too much, even if you're not really exposing an individual. But we got a couple of the people from the TISM tribe in here right now. You know, Neuro Diva, Jules, and Carol. She was here. Neurodivergent. I think that's her YouTube name. She has a channel under that name. So, anyways, when you break it down to quality of life, to me, that's the most compelling. I could easily make the argument, and I would be very comfortable, even excluding medications. I think it's still cheaper to eat carnivore, for sure.
Well, another thing is most of us eat twice a day on
Mhm.
average. Um,
What?
and
Most of us? You mean
most
carnivores?
most
Maybe.
carnivores eat
Okay.
about twice a day on average, unless you're Tom. Um, and um, we
I'm
just
I'm special.
aren't food obsessed. Like we're also not gonna. I mean, for the most of us that have broken our sugar and carbohydrate addictions, um, if we're walking down a donut shop, we're not going to be tempted, right? And so we can just walk on by and be like, cool. So you, it also helps with like impulse spending on food, right? Because I can remember before carnivore walking down, Baskin Robbins, and it's like, oh snap, I need to get me some ice cream, right?
Mm, yeah. Well, and it's you go out with other people, and it's like they want to hit Starbucks, and then
Right.
they want to go to, I mean, on a hot day like today, I can't fault anybody for wanting a Slurpee. Because I was saying earlier, it was like it was 114 yesterday, and it's 105 today, right? So you're out like, oh, that's a good excuse to get an iced coffee and a Slurpee or whatever, and then people get their blood sugar's going up and down, so they get hungry again, they want to eat again, and then you're standing in line like, oh, look, there's a candy rack near the register, let me grab a Snickers or whatever the hell it is, right? So
and the most precious economical resource is time. And Tom, how many days a week are you in the kitchen slaving away for
try
you to
keep it
eat?
down to 2. um so um um the I try and get most of my meal prep done in on the weekend. So that's like I repack the shrimp in glass dishes, and put it in the fridge, and that's usually only like 3 days at a time. And then the like I've probably got 12 pounds of sirloin down there waiting. I'm gonna cut it up into little bite-sized pieces and put it in glass containers and put it in the freezer. And then when I walk out the door in the morning to sit on the 91 and be angry at the world, I have 60 ounces of sirloin with me, and it's not like I never eat anything else. And I have nothing against eating some chicken or some pork or some fish. And because I like to I like to lift, and I'm in the car all the time. So I've been spending 50 hours a week at the office and spending another 10 to 15 hours a week in traffic, and then another 7 hours a week roughly at the gym. So, do the math. So, I try and get all my groceries in one or maybe two trips to the store in a week, and then prep as much food as I can, have it on hand. And, if I'm in a hurry, I know this is blasphemy, but I will drink whey isolate, which is a milk protein and collagen peptide and stuff like that. Um, it's really out of convenience. It's not superior, and a lot of people, I see people refer to them as incomplete proteins because they have a different amino acid ratio than say beef does, right? So in everybody's mind, beef or lamb or goat is the ideal, some sort of ruminant is the ideal amino acid ratio. But for me, that's filler food. And if I'm stuck out, I will go buy a 20-ounce package of sliced turkey and slam that, like, no problem. It doesn't bother me. I'm sure there's stuff in there that might bother other people. And yeah, it's processed meat, but it's certainly not like they're all sort of minor contributions to the bulk of what I eat. And for me, eating is like a second job because I can't sit down and eat 5,000 calories worth of lean meat at one time. I don't know anybody who can, right? So sure as hell, well, maybe you and Joe can, but you are both like, you guys are just average size human garbage cans that just, you guys don't even need hands. You should just have shovels at the end of your arms. So yeah, and Justin's literally like half my mass, and he can out eat me. He can eat faster than I can, and he can eat more than I can. It's ridiculous. And when we do
don't
that,
get me around jerky. I will eat like 3 pounds of jerky, like nothing.
yeah, and so I make jerky too, and of course I could spend a month making jerky, and then Justin and somebody else will plow through it in like 12 minutes. So. Even jerky, I can only eat it at a slow pace. So I'm just slow, I guess. So
Well, it's leptin, right? I mean, I think you have a lower leptin threshold than me and Joe. You know.
yeah, and so Neuro Diva Jules, she brings the point that whey isolate can raise insulin, but unfortunately, if you want to build muscle, you need insulin to do that. So the sort of insulin levels that I experience is probably higher than what other people are comfortable with. But for me, it's like, well, if you want to lift and you want to keep making progress, you're going to have to eat more frequently, and you're going to have higher insulin. Of course, the other flip side of that is I still have low, steady blood gooses, or I should say glucose. We like to say, may your blood gooses fly low and steady around here. But you do a heavy workout, and guess what? Doesn't matter what you ate, your glucose levels are going to go up, because when you get done doing a heavy workout, your body's going to want to replenish the glycogen stores that were depleted, and part of that process is kicking out more glucose, right? So it is what it is, and I'm not even saying it's the healthiest thing to do. It's just what I want to do. So I'm gonna invoke the Zach Bitter here. I don't know if you guys know, anybody knows who Zach Bitter is, but he's an ultra marathoner, a hell of a nice guy. I did an interview with him a long time ago. I used to chat with him about everything, including which shoes to buy, even though I'm not a marathon runner. But anyways, he said one time, he's like, yeah, if you want to do the healthiest things for yourself, don't be a marathon runner, much less an ultra marathon runner. So there's a guy who's meat based, who is sort of a world renowned super athlete, And he's going to tell you, don't do what I do if you want to live a long time and be healthy. So I'm not saying do what I do either. Nobody in the right mind. In fact, I'm sure when I have a conversation about Bart about lifting 7 days a week, he's going to tell me I'm insane. I'm killing myself. So, so yeah, I'm not saying do what I do, but yeah. So, and you know, like I said, there are alternate sources of protein that you reach out to. I mean, if you're out and you're hungry and you want to build muscle, you better damn well feed yourself, right?
Hot dogs, pepperoni, a stack of 2 pounds of turkey, whatever it is, man.
Yeah, I mean, when I got it,
And that's hungry, period. Like I've been out with friends at a grocery market, and it's like, where are we going? Oh, some vegan BS restaurant. All right, let me
right?
buy a pack of ham or something,
Yeah,
turkey or something, a roast
yeah.
beef, and just eat that
Even
entire
cheese.
pack.
Yeah,
Yeah, eat some cheese and some
yeah. A lot of people don't
meat.
tolerate cheese or they don't tolerate dairy. I tolerate it. It's not a major food group for me. I generally call it cheesening because for me, it's more of a seasoning, you know. And I will put cheese, especially if I'm going to cook the meat, which the bulk of my steak is just raw, because I do it Emily Penton style, and I love it. So, yeah, I will put like cheese on top of my steak if I'm going to heat it up. So, and that's nice. It's a nice change, but most of the time I don't. So my pal at work, she likes Havarti. So I'll buy Havarti and take it to the office. A nice creamy cheese. We'll have a little snack. We got some cheese sticks in the fridge at work too, just in case, you know, you need a little nibble. But yeah, I mean eating's different for everybody, and that's one of the things we like to stress. Everybody's got to figure out what protein to fat ratio is working for them, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think me and you, we set ourselves apart in that we're not big fasters. I
No.
mean, you certainly pretty much don't do any fasting. I'll occasionally do an 18-hour or 16-hour or so. But
And I have done a 10-day fast.
right,
Went
you've been
fast.
down the road, right?
Yeah, I was completely fascinated by it. But then I eventually figured out it wasn't getting me to my goals. So if you like to lift big every day, fasting it might not work for you because it didn't work for me. Right.
And something interesting about me, when I really go to town and pig out on some meat. So I went to a very popular buffet last night with family, and I had a couple plates of straight meat. I mean, I honestly may have eaten a little over 2 pounds of steak, honestly, in one sitting,
Hmm.
because I can just chow it down if I'm determined. I would have also eaten a couple of ribs with it, but the ribs were a bit too dry. So I
Hmm.
just couldn't start. Once you've eaten like 2 pounds of steak, like dry ribs was just not appetizing.
Hmm.
Um, and my mood and energy was incredible, like last night and today. And like, I feel my best when I've really filled myself up on some meat, and I feel like that's something I'm learning. So, and this is something that comes up very often on our channel, like under eating. Just like maybe my day to day, maybe I am feeling a little dragged out because maybe even though I feel like I'm eating enough, maybe and like I'm getting over my caloric standard because I've weighed stuff out before, and maybe I just need more protein. I don't know, but like eating that much, like, and I wasn't even bloated. Like there was no bloat. I just felt and I have felt really good since eating that much meat, you know? So like for me, I mean, maybe the goal or the challenge is like eat more. And that's such a hard concept for people in this world to get, is that
And
concept of eat more.
let me just spin off that. So, like, sometimes when you're having trouble getting enough food in, for me, it's usually because of time constraints. That was another argument for the whey isolate and the collagen and the other animal based powdered proteins is because if you've got a short period of time to get a lot of protein in, that liquid form helps kind of surpass the satiety blocks that pop up when you're trying to eat a lot. So it's in that way, it's sort of a cheat around your systems that are trying to slow you down. You want to get it in. Drinking it helps. I haven't quite got to the point where I'm throwing steak into the blender and gulping it down yet, but that might be a reality if I just had time to use the blender and clean it every day. I might actually do that. So
You gonna make a meat shake?
the meat
I mean,
shake.
a chicken shake.
Yeah, I actually cooked up a bunch of chicken breasts to see if I could figure out some way to make a chicken shake. I was gonna put like chicken broth in it or
Huh?
bone broth in it and thin it out, but I never. I cooked it, but then I never really got around to throwing it in a blender. But I'll just wait till you and Joe get here, and then we'll see who can chug the most steak slurry or chicken shake or whatever we make. So I don't know. Maybe we'll
Man.
take a giant piece of choke roast and run it through the food processor and see who can drink the most of it.
I'm down. I'm
I'm
so
down.
down.
I'm down.
Yeah, fasting is a tool, and I think fasting does have some fantastic um, benefits. You know, and I totally agree. I think doing I don't know, I guess I'd call it like a medical fast, like fasting for a reason, like for an autoimmune condition, or you're ill, or you're trying to get something, trying to get that inflammation down. I believe in it. I think where people run into trouble is that's their daily, is fasting. Or like when because I used to get in fasting where I'd watch the clock and I
Mm.
feel like be like, I can't eat because it hasn't been however many hours,
Yeah.
and I think that's where it can become possibly detrimental and toxic.
Um. Yeah. So, like, I look at fasting as a really powerful lever to pull. But for me, it doesn't work as a lifestyle, right? Because I prioritize lifting, and in between, and then I supplement lifting with some hit training. And I can do cardio or hit training fasted, but lifting, I was not making progress. It was clear. And part of the thing with eating is, some days I lift heavier than others. So if you're doing, let's say you're doing squats, and I kind of top out somewhere around over 600 pounds in a squat. And then my deadlift is a little off right now, but I've made it all the way up to like 470. So you do something like that for sets, and guess what? The next day you are going to be hungry, right? So what do? You try and go in and do heavy lifting while you're fasted, or you try and fast
Now,
the day
just a
after?
side note
There's
here,
no way.
Tom does work out at night because of his work schedule. So I do
I,
just want to
I
make that clear.
Yeah, and less so at night because my schedule changed. So yeah, I used to get off work fairly late, and I'd work out at night. And now that my schedule changed, if I work out twice in a day, I hit the weights in the morning, and then maybe do some hit training in the evening. But it's more like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, evening ish now than opposed to before when it was usually like 6 or 7 or even 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night sometimes in the past. So, and yeah, that, most people want to work out in the morning, but um, number one, I got the traffic issue. Number two, I hate crowds. And the gyms tend to be busy in the morning. And, I don't know, it's just because because I'm in the TISM tribe or what, but I don't like crowds. I don't like, and I even at the gym, I don't like working out with a lot of people, and I take up a lot of equipment because I mean, like if I'm doing a light leg day, that's probably like 7 different exercises, and I'll rotate through the exercises, and that means I'm kind of taking up 7 different stations or machines or whatever. And you can't do that with a bunch of people around. But otherwise you're there all day. And I don't have all day to be there. I like to get my workouts in, and my goal is to try to get them done in less than an hour. And sometimes I can do it faster, and sometimes it takes longer. But try and do that in a crowded gym. It's just not going to happen. So there's a lot there to unpack. And yes, the time of day I work out may make a difference, but let me tell you, you do a lot of heavy lifting, you are going to be hungry the next day, and you are not going to want to fast. And if you fast before or during a heavy lifting, I'm convinced you won't make progress, because even if things like growth hormone and stuff like that go up, you need enough protein to build the you need enough protein to build more muscle, much less maintain the muscle you got, right? So
And even the human growth hormone thing, I remember Sean had a doctor on. He works in Mexico, I believe. Was talking about how uh, if you track it out, actually, the boost you get in human growth hormone actually crashes. Um,
yeah, and that's the thing. When you lift heavy, you get a longer duration of human growth hormone,
and
HGH,
testosterone as well. You
and
actually get
testosterone.
a
That's right.
longer boost of testosterone as well, which I believe is also for growing muscle.
But to be fair, also insulin. So everybody who's insulin phobic, trying to build bigger muscles is probably going to be a problem. So
Which, since doing this, since evolving, since doing these shows for a while now, to me, the number one health metric is your lean muscle mass. And I think the data bears that out as well, in my opinion.
and to be fair, it's not like I never fast. I do get opportunities in between working out where it doesn't really matter, because as much as I typically work out every day, sometimes I don't, just because of life or whatever, or it's just time to take a break. And then that's my opportunity to fast. Right.
Yeah, and I
But
think all of us carnivores take a day or here where we're just like, you know what, I'm not hungry. I just
yeah,
don't feel like eating, or maybe you'll have a really light dinner and then just go knock out and then work out, and then it'll be, a good 16, 18, 20 hour fast, and it's like without even flinching. So yeah, alien drone service, chicken shake. That is what's on the menu, is chicken
yeah,
shake.
we're gonna see how much chicken we can drink, or steak we can drink. Drew Bay. Drew Bay sounds familiar.
I'm personally not familiar, at least not by just name
What do you
alone.
think? Drew Bay. It's funny because topics like that come up during while you're while you're um while you're in the video like this, and then all of a sudden, like when it's over, you're like, oh yeah, I know who that is. Well, it's just so much going on. So Raymond's asking me, what is your resting glucose level above 100? That depends. So if I'm doing like a lighter work, let's say I'm just doing biceps and triceps one day. Um, and here's the thing: the insulin level, um, or glucose level, w- comes up later. It doesn't necessarily. I haven't really noticed. I haven't done a lot of testing at the gym, but sometimes it's later, like when you're recovering, that the glucose goes up. Right? It's generally not immediate. So, and I used to do. I've done probably 1,000 finger sticks, but I gave up on it because I used to talk to Sean about it, and he's like, so, what have you learned from all of these ketone and glucose tests? Which one of them says you're healthy? And so the thing is it kind of depends on where you are in recovery. It's like when you wake up in the morning, you get that little bump of glucose and cortisol to help you wake up. Your your glucose can rise to help recover the glycogen stores in your recovery. So and that kind of depends on how hard you lift and how long you lift and how much you're recovering from. And that's another thing Justin and I've been tracking is when you go to sleep, right, Justin? we look at when our heart rate drops below our daytime resting heart rate. So your nighttime resting heart rate versus your daytime. So the longer you can get your heart rate, um, the longer you can get your heart rate um, down below your daytime while you're sleeping, in theory, the better your recovery. So ADS is asking why 7 leg exercises instead of just one. So like if I do a day where I'm just doing say deadlifts and squats, then that's it for the day, right? But I do other days more for like the aesthetic challenge to get muscles to pop. So it's a little bit, even though I emphasize strength training, I'm curious about hypertrophy more, where you're trying to get smaller muscles to pop, and so that requires more detailed. That means you're going in and you're working on very small muscle groups or individual muscles to get them to stand out, right? So that's more of just like a bodybuilding sort of thing that I do out of curiosity. So yes, well, the 10-minute walk after a workout is just as important as like a 10 to 20-minute walk after you eat, right? It stabilizes blood sugar. And when you're trying to build muscle, one of the goals is to get as much blood to pump through them as possible. But it doesn't do any good to do it at a really fast pace. So if you lift weights and then you run, guess what? You're not going to build as much muscle, right? Because your body's always trying to adapt. And it's like, hey, do you want to adapt to running or do you want to adapt to lifting? So you kind of have to choose. So the same thing is true with lifting. And when you look at numbers and people's goals is your glucose under 100? Well, ask me when. Because if you wake up in the morning and your glucose is 101, are you really going to worry about it? 105? If you
Yeah, and that's me, and I used to worry about that.
have
Waking
you
up
just
with the
been eating,
glucose
how
100
many
or a
years you
little
just
over
been
100.
eating meat, Justin?
Well, now I'm over 3.5, but the
So
last times I tested was like the 1 year mark and 2 year mark.
so if you woke up one morning and tested your glucose and for some reason it was 120, would you be worried?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I wouldn't either.
especially because I work out typically around first thing in the morning, and I do like a lot of brain function. So a lot of things that people don't know is that the majority of the glucose that your body produces is actually for brain function. Your brain requires a lot of glucose, and yes, it runs well on ketones, but I think about 60% of its energy has to be glucose based. And in our modern environment, our brain is bombarded by a lot of stimulus as soon as we get up. Um, and I would like to also just put a nod to Dr. Boz. Dr. Boz's work seems to be really popular in the
Hmm.
carnivore community at the moment. She's been
If you
around for,
Let me see
yeah,
if I have it here. If you haven't read her
or you,
book, Any Which Way You Can, uh, if, if I have, that's probably the most, I'll just say heart wrenching, compelling books I've ever read. It's when it comes to low carb or whatever. It's just a staggering book. And I know Emily Penton and is it Kelly Hogan
yeah, Kelly
teaching it?
Hogan's been
Yeah.
talking about her stuff as well. I don't know if she's teaching, but um,
It's kind of
continue
keto
talking.
oriented as opposed to carnivore oriented, but
Yeah, I believe the ratios are 80% fat to 20% protein. And again, it's these things are really hard to flesh out because A, are people honest? B, when are people testing their blood sugar? C, are people eating pure carnivore, right? And so and I'm not saying that anyone is wrong, but what I am saying is when these fads come through the carnivore community, I'm always suspicious. That's just a natural stance of mine, for better or
mhm,
worse.
mhm.
But from what Kelly Hogan, Emily, and a few other people report, there seems to be a subsection of the population that for whatever reason, I'm not quite sure if that reason's been determined, seem to have trouble uh, with ingesting a lot of protein and then getting elevated blood sugar. Now, I have not been able to hone down the exact percentage point that this blood sugar is, or if these are people that are working out in the morning or at night. There's so many factors that go into these things. And so, personally, I just have difficulty taking this at face value. But hey, if people eating 80% fat, 20% protein is doing well for them, I'm not going to fault them or anything. That's completely fine. I'm just, it's one of these bandwagons that I'm hesitant to hop on. I have near zero interest in testing blood glucose and ketones every morning.
Right.
Is a big barrier to me getting involved in it, but it's out there. And if you aren't getting your results, it might be something to try. But all of us in the carnivore community always say, if you're noticing low energy, if you're noticing, mental fog, brain fog, it might be a good idea to increase the fat. So that's kind of standard
Sure.
knowledge, in my opinion. So anyway, she's kind of big right now. Shout to her, great big ups. But
Dr. Boz.
I'm just personally not one to just jump on bandwagons. So I just want to throw that out there is all.
Yeah, and let's face it, a big part of Dr. Boz's book talks about taking care of her mother who has blood cancer, right? And a very different story from somebody. So her mom's probably 70 and I'm 51, twice her size, and I just love lifting weights. So like ADS is pointing out, he's exercising to square the aging curve. He does his workouts are designed for longevity. I don't even think about longevity beyond the point of having plenty of lower body strength and agility. About muscle is protective of the bones. The more muscle you have, the harder the bones are. So I think about it maybe in terms of like, yeah, if I fall, I'm not going to break a hip. So we've talked about that before. I just love lifting, and I'm not even saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying I do it because I love it. And,
Well, and where
like
Tom's coming from.
Neuro Diva Jules said, yeah, Tom, just do you.
Well, and I think all of our histories also play into. So carnivore gives us the ability of what we thought impossible maybe 5, 3, 10 years ago, right? And so
Mm,
Tom's history, he loved to lift, and his illness, his psoriasis, and his joint pain,
arthritis.
arthritis,
Yeah.
got so bad to where that life pleasure, I'm going to call lifting and weightlifting a pleasure, even though some people may not see it that way, although there is data about dopamine release, what have you. That pleasure was taken from Tom. So it makes perfect sense for Tom, now that he's gained it back, that he's going to hit it as much as he can, as hard as he can,
Mm,
and it makes him feel good. I mean, Tom, you're not having achy knees when you wake up, right? You're not stumbling around. And so, that's the thing, is that pushing your body as hard as it can go within reason, of course. I think that's a noble goal. And I mean, no doctor would ever predict that that's where he would be with the conditions that he was struggling with. And that's the beautiful part of carnivore, is
yeah.
just, it's not about, to me, it's what's possible and really pushing the limit with ourselves. My migraines were so bad. Look, we've been talking and on this live stream for almost 2 hours. That would have been nigh impossible with the way my health was
Mm,
3 years ago.
sure. I
My
say the
head would be
same.
hurting. I'd be, really struggling. I'm wearing the blue blockers. I get that, but I've got a light over here, got the light here, and all this stuff. It's I mean, this diet just really changes everything. And Tom's smart enough, he's not going to do anything that's going to put himself in danger or in pain, more or less. He's really
Right,
just
right.
trying to see what his body can do. And
Mm-hmm.
that's beautiful. And to me, I celebrate that
You're
because
getting so passionate, man. I love
Tom,
this side of Justin.
because Tom can lift like three of me. You know what I mean? And I think that's crazy cool. And that's also at age 50, right? Or 51, 50,
50,
right? You're
51. I'll be 52 this
51, you'll
year.
be
Yeah.
52 this year. I mean, how many people that are 51 or 52 that can do that, right? I mean, we know
There
people
ain't
that
many
are,
of us at the gym. I'll tell you that.
and he's crushing it. And Tom will tell you stories where he's crushing the people that are my age and younger at the gym, lifting more than them, you know, and that's just off the hook. And I love that. And I just
Yep.
think anyone on this journey, challenge your body, see how far you can push it, within reason, of course,
So,
because
yeah. I always make a point of not getting injured, and I also have a pulled muscle here or there. I've managed to avoid that,
are
but
you
I'll
going
just
to the ER for your pulled muscles?
yeah. I'm not going to the ER for pulled muscle. So I'll just say like the brief history was that like my arthritis got so bad in late 30s, early 40s that like one day I got out of bed and I couldn't turn the doorknob. I couldn't get out of my own freaking bedroom. And then, psoriasis just bleeding through my clothes all over the place. And a really high levels of anxiety, of course, and that's all changed. And I thought I just was like an accumulation of injuries. So I tore this shoulder, and it bothered me. I had 3 gunshot wounds. I got run over by a truck and degloved my ilium, which means I pulled all the soft tissue off my right hip and my lower ribs and the top of my femur. Um, I've had all kinds of injuries, mostly because I'm clumsy. I cut my fingertips off one time, or a couple of them, and had them stuck back on, and and all those things were bothering me, hurting shoulder, neck. I used to get sciatica so bad I'd drag one leg behind me for almost a month at a time. Couldn't roll over in bed, just miserable, and then now it's like I've got I had a full body scan done, so like you could see all these injuries, collapsed discs and everything. So when I changed my diet and I was going to my doctor, and he's like, I didn't expect him to support what I was doing, but he said, well, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it, because I don't get these kind of results. He doesn't get somebody who's got torn shoulder, collapsed disc, psoriasis, arthritis, on and on and on, all of a sudden going, yeah, I feel great, I don't need painkillers anymore, I don't need anti-inflammatories anymore, I don't need physical therapy anymore, all I want you to do is run all these tests that I want you to do. And he's like, okay, I'm in, so, and I'm gonna see that doctor later this month. So I hardly see him. And if you guys see my posts on Facebook, I'm gonna collect a bunch of books to take in, and I know he's not gonna read them all, but he'll read one or two, and he'll maybe share one or two with his colleagues or somebody else that's interested. So anyways, yeah, I went through that period of time where I cared about ketone levels and glucose levels, and at the end of the day I realized if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, if I'm eating the way I'm supposed to be eating, and I'm going to the gym and I'm working towards my goal. And like I was just telling Justin, you know what, Justin, I think it's time to punch another hole in my belt, because the waist is getting a little bit smaller. So I'm getting stronger and my waist is getting smaller, right? And to me, that's more important than a glucose or a ketone level, right? And I get it. There, when you start in, especially in the ketogenic diet, you get this concept that like your ketones are supposed to be super high all the time, and then later on you realize, no, you're going to cycle in and out. And what is the ideal ketone level? I don't know. How's your brain feel? Your brain feels amazing. You don't have brain fog anymore. You're really sharp. You can sit down and rattle on and on in videos. I mean, Justin and I have probably been already recording like 3 or 4 hours today.
Right. Yeah.
Recorded a bunch of videos, and that means recalling facts off the top of your head and keeping your mouth moving and not stumbling too much. So yeah. Neuro Diva Jules is like, hey Tom, how much do you work out every day? Well, it's the workouts probably go from they're primarily lifting, and they go like a really fast one when I'm in a hurry, like if I'm just doing bicep triceps, it's like a half an hour. And then sometimes I probably go an hour and 15, something like that. I do hit training sometimes, and that's mostly just to increase endurance. But I'm going to tell you, I don't have an issue with low energy. And I like to talk about my 10,000 calorie day. That happened because my good friend decided he wanted to be a demolition derby driver, and he asked me to be in the pit crew, and I spent literally like 12 hours lifting crates of tools, loading trucks, unloading trucks, pounding um pounding on cars with hammers, taking tires off, bending plates, welding plates, grinding plates, sawing plates, and running from the pit to the stands and back again. Literally sprinting with size 15 steel toe shoes on, and it was 103 degrees. And so yeah, most people can't do that, and I can do it at 51. So even though I only do some hit training, I do walk. I got a dog. I love to walk my dog, so I do walk. I could tell you on any given day, I probably walk anywhere from probably at 7,000 to 15,000 steps, and no problem. And when I was younger, my feet hurt all the freaking time. And now I don't even wear shoes most of the time. So anyways, and again, the topics are often curved back to losing weight. And I'll be honest with you, I'm trying to gain weight, but it's all muscle. I want to put on muscle, and I want to get leaner. That's my goal, and that's not losing weight. So, because everybody knows muscle is denser than fat, right? So,
Right. Well, awesome, Tom. I think we ought to wrap it up for the
should we
evening.
wrap it up, everybody? Who's tired of listening to us talk, or who wants to talk more? Justin, it's 2 hours later for Justin and I.
Right. So it's 9:30. Tomorrow's off, so we're a little extra late. So it's good, but we've had a lot of fun. And ADS, if you're around next week, we'll tackle HIIT training. I got some opinions on that, and I think Tom does too. But
yeah, guys, come join the one of the Facebook groups, and let's talk some more, or the Telegram group for Meet Mosaic. I'd love to keep in touch with you guys during the week and talk. And like I said, if one of you guys wants to come on and debate about it, I don't think we all have to agree. I'm perfectly happy with leaving it open. I'm perfectly happy with finding out I'm wrong down the road. So yeah. And I've got I lift with a hand that almost lost its fingers. So, you can heal up. I used to have tremendous pain because all the bones in this hand were broken, and I had a giant hole through my hand from side to side, and that doesn't bother me anymore. It's not as strong as that's my left hand. I'm right-handed, and the bones are all crooked and the nerves are all ganked up, but still I can lift every day and it doesn't really hurt. So if that's not a testimony, I don't know what is.
Good night, Christina. Good night, Neurodivergent Jules. We hope to see you both next week and the following weeks.
And ADS, let's debate on about what the optimal exercises are and what they achieve, because I think it's a fantastic conversation. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here.
That's true.
Comments.
ADS, that's the whole reason why heavy metal exists, is because Tony Iommi lost 2 of his fingers, or the tops of his fingers, working in a machine shop. And that's why it's all down tuning from Black Sabbath. So absolutely true. ADS.
Right. Hey, guys, this is great. And thanks for participating. I feel like I got all these
Appreciate
friends
it.
out there.
Yeah.
It's nice to connect with everybody.
Hit
So,
the like button, share, subscribe, friends and
yeah,
enemies.
send the
Join the
links out
Meet
to the video.
Mosaic Telegram and the Meet Mosaic Facebook groups.
When you go in Walmart, turn all the computers onto Meet Mosaic.
That'd be awesome.
All right, guys.
And whatever you do, eat some meat,
Eat some
feel
meat.
better.
Don't
And
fall.
whatever you do,
Don't fall.
pull down the
The
carb
glucose
hole,
hole.
hole, hole, hole.